Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Mel from MelDidItHerself, and I'm a social service worker turned furniture refinisher, DIYer, small business owner, and content creator. I've learned everything I know about these industries thanks to people who shared their knowledge on the internet. So I'm paying it forward by bringing you my tips, lessons learned, and sharing my journey in this space with you. So thank you so much for being here, being curious, and being a lifelong learner like me. Let's hop into it. What is up, my friends and fellow busybees? Today, I wanted to change things up a bit and jump into a territory that we haven't yet ventured too far into yet on the podcast. Do you know what it is? The world of social media. For some, it might be considered the big bad world of social media, and for others, it might be something that could be classified as more of an addiction, maybe. No judgments here, though. This is a safe space because I, too, cringe anytime my phone is super rude and the screen time app pops up and shows me how I spent my day. Like, I thought we were friends, Apple. Why you gotta do me dirty like that? Whatever your relationship with social media may be, I am going to go out on a limb here and assume that if you're listening to this podcast, you likely have at least one social media account. And you may even use it for business purposes, or even just to show off your hobby or side hustle that you have. And if so, you might be trying to grow it. Personally, I've always been a fan of social media. I'm part of that generation that grew up essentially being the test run for social media when we were trying to figure it all out in its early era, and we would take our digital cameras to the beach with friends and stage photo shoots where we would make stars with our fingers and pose like Charlie's Angels and throw up a peace sign like there's no tomorrow. Then we would go home and excitedly create a new online album and upload all 255 of the photos online for everyone to see. They even eventually released the feature where you could tag your friends. Ah, what a time to be alive. And if you were born in the year 2000 or later, you might think I'm joking when I say that my generation was the test run for social media, but we really kind of were. Not a big deal, but I was an early adopter of Facebook back in the day, thanks to my friend Allie, who set up an account for me. And that was back when you still had to pretend like you attended an Ivy League school in order to be able to create an account. That was when MySpace was still hot, and I basically just spent all of my time on MSN Messenger instead of on social media sites, because those weren't really a thing. And just so we're clear, Instagram, Snapchat, and definitely TikTok were nowhere near being close to being introduced to the masses at that time. So yeah, I'm getting kind of old, I guess. But because of all of that, I feel like I've always been pretty interested in technology and social media and new and emerging platforms that come onto the market. For anyone who doesn't know, I am an only child and I grew up in essentially the middle of nowhere, like in the middle of the woods. My closest neighbor was my extended family, and then other than that, it was a solid, 15-minute drive or so before you would encounter anybody else. All that to say is that I grew up learning how to entertain myself before the internet was a big thing, and then once I discovered these platforms where you could connect with people from all over and you wouldn't have to beg your parents to get them to drive you to your friend's house 45 minutes away just to socialize with someone, I was hooked. And as I created my MelDidItHerself account on Instagram and began trying to grow it, my approach to social media has definitely evolved from what I had been using it for in my personal life, like posting photos from trips I went on with my friends, family, and partner, and just other pretty pictures I snapped throughout my day. I soon discovered that in order to grow, I needed to keep at least a little bit up to date with the platform and its features, push myself out of my comfort zone a bit, and get strategic about what I was putting out into the world. And speaking of getting strategic, have you checked in lately on yourself and your newly created business, or maybe soon to be created furniture painting and refinishing business? If not, I have just the thing for you. I've created a free guide and checklist for starting an official furniture painting and refinishing business because I know we're here to work on some pretty pieces. and not to get bogged down in learning all there is to know about business, taxes, organization systems, and more. So take my hand and let me walk you through it. I promise it won't be scary. If you're interested, you can head to the link in the show notes of this episode to grab that today, and we can get started together so that you can get back to your workshop and pick that sander back up right where you left it. Today's episode was initially going to be about how to keep up with content creation on social media, and I will do an episode on that soon because I do have some great tips that I'd love to share, but I thought I should first take a step back for today's episode. I recently got a message from someone on Instagram who listens to the podcast, and they were asking how I put myself out there online and show off my work and whether that just comes naturally. And I thought I should start here first when I introduce the topic of social media and content creation on the podcast. The answer to the question is no. It absolutely does not come naturally to me to broadcast myself, my life, my business, my face, my work, and my voice online. Like I said, I'm an only child that grew up in the middle of nowhere. I grew up being so shy. Like, so shy. I would say it's only been maybe within the last 6 years or so that I've really come out of my shell. And that was by me forcing myself out of my comfort zone because it doesn't come naturally to me. I'm an introvert through and through. Even this here, talking into a microphone that I know people will be listening to while they're painting away in the workshop or out for a walk or driving home from dropping off the kids or folding their laundry, this doesn't just inherently come naturally to me either. But that doesn't mean that I don't love it and really enjoy it. It just means that I do have to push past that instinctive inclination that I have to quietly retreat into my shell and keep to myself and instead just do the damn thing. So if you are someone who has found it difficult, I hope that can offer you some reassurance that we're all on our own paths trying to figure this all out, and I hope you'll get some good tips from this episode. And if you're someone who has thought about starting a social media account to show off your furniture work, or maybe wanted to try and build yourself as a brand and creator alongside that, or maybe you actually did create the account but you're having a hard time showing up on there, I really do hope this episode will be helpful to you. And if you get some value from it, I'd love if you'd send me a DM on Instagram at MelDidItHerself, or send me an email, which is always in the show notes of each episode, because I always love hearing feedback from you when certain things in the episodes really resonate with you. It's a great positive reinforcement for me to keep doing what I'm doing, and it helps me to know what kinds of things are helpful for you in your journey as well. Like today's episode came directly from a message that I got from one of you, So if you do have one of those new or soon-to-be created accounts, I have some good news. A low amount of followers is a good thing. This means that you can start to get your footing and get the hang of the platform that you choose, whether it be Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, Facebook, Twitch, Discord, YouTube, trying to think of other social media things. Those are the ones that come to mind. Twitter, whatever. With less eyes on you during the trial and error process, and these first few hundred or few thousand people will likely be ones that become your biggest supporters because they saw you when you were like a baby deer learning how to walk, all the way to the confident, cool buck that you're gonna turn into, or some other better thought out metaphor about wildlife, I don't know. So use this time to the fullest. Don't have the mentality of, well, I only have 10 people following me. Why would I put effort into what I'm posting if only my mom, a couple of my friends, and a couple strangers are going to see it? Because I guarantee those people are going to encourage and cheer you on. Have you ever heard anyone refer to the 10,000 hour rule? It's the notion that it takes 10,000 hours of practice of whatever you want to learn how to do in order to become a master of it. 10,000 hours. Sounds like a lot of Instagram reels to edit before you're going to be the best that you have the potential to be, doesn't it? So try not to overthink it right now and just do. Do the damn thing. Post the before and after photos. Try out a voiceover tutorial if you'd like and post it on TikTok. Add a story to your Facebook showing what you're working on in the workshop today. Whatever it is, just showing up and doing your best with what you have today is enough. Did you hear that? If you're multitasking, come back to me because I really want you to hear this. just showing up and doing your best with whatever it is that you have or don't have today is enough. My biggest recommendation overall when it comes to creating content and posting on social media is to set your own rules for however often you're going to show up based on whatever works for your life and your schedule, and whatever it is, just be consistent and stick with it. There's tons of social media gurus all over these social platforms who will say that the magic number to growth is posting once per day or 3 times per day or 7 times per day or once a week. And their recommendations will change day to day. The reality is there's no magic number, there's no magic whatsoever involved, but if you show up consistently, you will see consistent growth. It won't happen every time you check in on your numbers, but some days nothing will happen, and some days you'll get tens or hundreds or maybe thousands of new followers. I've seen friends on Instagram go from 1,000 to 2,000 to 5,000 to over 100,000 followers in a matter of days. The elusive algorithm we all talk about isn't worth trying to hack. Just do you, and the right people will show up. And if you're too nervous about showing up at all, well, then let's talk about that. First off, you don't need to have social media. There is no gun to your head, and it is entirely within your right to remain offline if you so choose. So here's me giving you that permission. If you just absolutely hate the thought of it, you're not warmed up to it at all, you see no point in it, but you feel required to. There are many other ways for you to advertise your business locally: newspapers, TV, writing articles, having a blog. There's so many other things that you could do that don't involve you being on social media specifically. So if you're someone that feels that, have a podcast. Like, there's so many things that you can do. I guess having a podcast is showing up, but you know what I mean? Like, there's so many people out there, and there's a community for everybody on every platform. Go on Reddit. Type some shit on Reddit. Somebody will love it. You could grow there. Like, there's so many things out there on the internet. It's kind of intimidating when you start to think about it. I think that's why we focus in on these certain platforms. But you do you. Set your own trend. However, I will say that social media is a great business tool that a lot of people choose to learn to build their brand or business. So if you have decided that, yes, I'm going to do it and I will get better at showing up on it, what is holding you back? Are you shy? Let's unpack that a bit. What is shyness? Because you're not face to face with someone, you're alone in your room talking to a camera lens. Can that be awkward and weird and somehow intimidating when you first do it? Sure, but that's not being timid while in the company of other people, which is the definition of being shy, by the way, because I had to look it up because I was like, wait, how is that concept even defined anyway? So are you too shy, or are you telling yourself you're shy? Is your identity rooted in you being shy? Did someone tell you once that you're shy? Or maybe you're nervous. You might be judged by others when you put yourself out there online. I can totally get that. I felt uneasy about that at first too. But remember that you can be whoever you want to be online. You can show up however you want to show up in your business, for your brand, and create a whole new identity there. So if you are someone who feels like you're shy, take it from me when I say that being so open on social media has brought me out of my shell in real life, because now I've created that muscle memory of having a little bit more, I don't know what the word is, energy when I show up in the world, and a little bit more confidence maybe. So maybe this is the way for you to get out of that bubble. So if you are shy and if you feel that that is the issue for you showing up, honestly, it might be very basic advice that sounds probably annoying, but you gotta just throw that in the fuck it bucket. People's opinion of you is none of your business, period. On the internet or in your everyday life. Do you want to spend your life, your one chance on this earth, worrying that someone you've never met, who lives somewhere you'll probably never go, thinks that your hair is messy or that your furniture painting isn't up to par? Pardon my French, my friend, but who fucking cares? That sounds like a them problem. Because if you're showing up authentically and you're being yourself and doing what you love and showing off your creations, your art, your passion to the world, how much of a bummer that person must be to show up, see that, and find something negative about it to think or point out. They must have an absolutely miserable existence. But that does not matter because you're here living your best life and being yourself, and if that's not good enough for them, well then, again, they don't have a gun to their head. They don't have to follow you. Would you want someone like that as part of your community anyway? Probably not. And of course, I'm not going to act like those people don't exist. There's shitty people who say shitty things. There are trolls on the internet or keyboard warriors or whatever it is that people call those internet tough guys. But let it be water off a duck's back and instead focus on the ones who are there supporting and encouraging and loving on you and what you do. Those are the ones who deserve your time and attention and energy, not the ones looking to get attention by riling you up. Now, maybe another issue is that you just find it hard to think of what to post. Maybe you work slowly through your projects and you have already posted about the most recent furniture makeover you did, and so you feel like you're at a standstill. First of all, don't always feel the need to create content for the sake of creating it just so you can put a post up. But also, you can show up without posting a photo or a reel or something. Instead, try showing up on your stories. You might think that whatever you're up to isn't important enough to put on there, but trust me, even if it seems mundane to you, someone will probably enjoy it. Maybe a lot of people. You never know until you try. Some of the stories I get the most engagement and replies to is when I share about like a new item I got from Costco or something that I made for dinner or something else that I would think would be boring or mundane, but is in fact relatable to others. So share away. Another important thing to remember is that, to put it bluntly, you're your own favorite person and nobody else's, because everyone else's favorite person is themselves. Harsh, I know, but I think this is a helpful reminder, and in life in general too. You think that everyone is seeing every single thing you do and hanging on to your every word and seeing every piece of content you post and watching every story you upload the second it goes up and scrutinizing your makeup or your zit or your hair or your voice or the way you accidentally mispronounce that one word that one time. They're not. They're preoccupied thinking about all that stuff about themselves that they hardly are noticing that you're there. They might love you and your content, but they're distracted because our tiny minds have the attention span of a fruit fly by now. So in the off chance that they happen to catch that blunder of yours, they have absolutely forgotten about it like 5 minutes later. Even the biggest scandals and tragedies and big news that get all of the attention of millions and millions of people, that's like front page, it gets that attention for what? Like maybe a week at most. Then something else comes along and snags our attention and we all forget about the other thing that is so last week. So don't worry about it too much because the exciting reality is we are one singular person in one singular town, in one singular country, on one singular continent, on one singular planet, in one singular Milky Way, in one singular solar system, in one singular galaxy. You get the point. And don't fact check the progression of those astronomy references because I didn't and I haven't studied that since like grade 11, so it's likely factually incorrect. But you understand the point that I'm trying to make. In the kindest way possible, let me remind you that none of us matter. Which is great, because then you can show up authentically and true to yourself and do what you want because it makes you happy and not have to worry about making any life-ruining decisions. Just make sure you're following the community guidelines of whatever platform you're using. It's nice to be nice. And so if you don't want to show your face and that's the thing that's holding you back, like I just really don't want to show up and put my face out there for whatever the reason might be, then don't. If you want to be able to share your face but aren't comfortable with that yet, just share a photo of your pieces with text over it. Then maybe you'll get more comfortable and do a video with text over it. Then maybe eventually a video with you talking in the background. Then eventually maybe you'll even do a video of yourself where you're talking. It all comes in time and with practice and just putting those hours in. I get it. It's weird to see yourself and to nitpick all the little things that you don't like about yourself. But say it with me, we are leaving that energy behind. Bad boss bitch energy only moving forward. Got it? And something you may not know about me, I love little motivational messages. They literally always get me fired up, and I keep a running list of ones that are especially catchy or speak to me in the Notes app on my phone. So I'm going to end every podcast episode with one of those that I've noted down over the years in hopes that you leave our time here each week feeling inspired, motivated, and ready to take on whatever comes your way this week. So this week's Mels motivational message is: hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. I heard this on one of the podcasts that I follow called Social Media Marketing School. It's great if you're looking for more tips specifically about growing on social media. I definitely recommend you check it out. He's got a great accent too. Win-win. But hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So if you're showing up on social media and you're seeing these people who you think are so successful and you want to be them, you want your life to get there, but you're like, how could I? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to work these platforms. I'm not talented. I don't have that it factor. Whatever it is, whatever the lie is that you're telling yourself, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And let me tell you, when people have things come easy to them, they don't tend to work that hard or work that hard for that long. So if you are there and you're showing up consistently and you're doing whatever it is that you're able to do and you're trying to improve yourself and learn and you're responding to feedback and you're doing all the things that one ought to be doing, guarantee that 99% of the other people are going to give up. If you're there long enough, you're going to be the one that's left standing, and everyone's going to be looking for someone to follow or to tune into or to learn from or to be motivated by. Whatever it is, whatever your goal is, the people will find you. If you're there and you're showing up authentically, consistently, the people who are meant to find you, your people, will be there and will find you. And be authentic to yourself. Like, one thing, if you haven't noticed, I have the mouth of a trucker, okay? That's something that I have had a debate with myself with. Should I be censoring myself a little bit more? Because one aspect of my brand is that I do want to partner with brands, and brands probably don't like it when I'm throwing around the F-bomb like it's nobody's business, you know? But I want to show up authentically as myself. I want to be able to speak freely as one would. And so I made the decision not to censor myself in that way. And maybe it has been the difference of a brand wanting to partner and then seeing that and shying away from that. But you know what? That's okay, because they're not my people. And I am confident that my people, the people who, to put it blunt, aren't scared of a noise coming out of somebody's mouth and who are okay with that, will be like, yes, I appreciate that. I don't know, hopefully it comes across as authenticity, but whatever it is, I have faith that everything happens for a reason. The right people will find you as long as you are doing the things that you need to do to be good to yourself, to be good to your community, and to work hard. And sometimes working hard means pushing your boundaries a little bit and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, trying something new, and, giving it a good go so that you can see if it's something that will work for you. And if you give it a solid go and it's going nowhere, you hate it, it's not showing any signs of going anywhere, well, then you gave it a solid go, and maybe that's not the thing for you. But I guarantee in that time, in putting those hours in, you've learned a thing or two, maybe about yourself, maybe about the platform you chose, maybe you've tailored your copywriting for captions or text on screen, like whatever it is, you will always get something out of each experience that you go into. So work hard, because there's people who might be inherently talented, but they're going to expect things to come to them. And if there's the alternative and that's you and you're working hard and you're grinding and you're doing the damn thing, people notice that. Trust me. And something fun that I wanted to introduce as a part of the podcast, because this is just a lot of me talking at you. And at this point in time, I'm not doing any interview-based episodes just because it introduced a whole other component of scheduling and technology that I don't really have time for right now with other projects that I have going on. But I want to integrate you guys into the podcast. So I'm going to be using a new software called SpeakPipe. And I'm going to have a link in the show notes of every episode. And if you click on it, you can record a little voice clip that will be sent to me either with a question that you have about furniture painting and refinishing, or anything to do with the business side of it, or content creation side, or a recommendation for a podcast episode. Leave it there. It'll send it to me. I'd love to include it on the podcast and then address your question or topic. So head to the link in the show notes if you want to get involved. All right, that's it for now. I appreciate your time, and I'll catch you guys next week.